This room might feel and look a little bit different than the last time you were in it, or maybe this is the first time you're in it, and this is how it's always looked to you. But take a look around. You can see each other's faces today. Not the back of each other's heads, or maybe to some degree, but you can see more faces than you normally could. That's intentional, and we will talk about that a little bit in the service today. But for now, just try to come into the room together and feel the floor on your feet. Arrive together and notice who's here next to you. Notice what we are about to do. And if you want to say good morning to someone, to each other, say good morning. The service this morning is called Restless, Terrifying, and Alive with Possibility, which is an accurate description of what it means to be alive right now. So let's begin, because we're going to need each other to figure that out.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Nielsen, and I'll be helping as your worship associate this morning. I use she and her pronouns. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. We call this place a fellowship, not a church, and that's intentional. Fellowship means we're all in this together, not that someone up front has all of the answers and that you're here to receive and just listen. It means that the thinking happens among all of us, not just at us. We're a community of people who come from genuinely different places spiritually. Some of us pray. Some of us don't believe in anything supernatural at all. Some of us are still figuring it out, which is honestly most of us. What holds us together isn't a shared creed. It's a shared practice, showing up, paying attention, and working toward a world that's more just and more loving than the one we've got. This means that this is a community where you won't be asked to check your science at the door, where LGBTQ plus people aren't a problem to be converted, but neighbors to be celebrated, where immigrants are welcome regardless of documentation, where your doubts are not a sign that you don't belong, but a sign that you are paying attention. Love is the center. That's it. That's who we are. Sit or stand during hymns, whatever your body needs. Step out if you need to. And stay after the service today, because today is Potluck Sunday. Whatever you brought, however much, please come. If you didn't bring anything, come anyway. The spirit of a potluck is that there's always enough when people show up for each other, and our table is open for all. We have a few announcements this morning. In addition to our potluck today, at which we hope to see all of you, today is an intergenerational service. The kids are welcome. There's no RE today, but as always, we have the room in the back if kids feel like they want to be a little active or fidget a little bit. We'll be hosting Opera Night again on Friday, April 10th, here at the Fellowship in the evening. We'll be having a CPR and Narcan training on April 25th here at the Fellowship in the morning. GA this year will be virtual, screened from Louisville, Kentucky, with an optional in-person component, but that registration is open for anyone who's interested. That's the annual event. And also today is our plant sale, a huge, wonderful fundraiser for us here at the Fellowship, where you can get amazing plants, vegetables, tomatoes, herbs, flowers, and you can sign up today in the social hall after services, and there's also the order form online. Our bidding is open now for our annual auction gala, which is our largest fundraiser for the year. I encourage everyone to go to our website and take a look at the amazing creative offerings that are in place for all of us to bid on. And the gala itself, the party, will be held on Saturday, April 10th. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. People are paying attention. That's good. And in addition to our potluck today, really important, we have coffee with the minister on, that's April 19th, next week. Bear with me, I need to pay more attention. If you're new to the Fellowship or curious and would like to know more, please join Reverend Israel in the conference room in the administrative wing, which is that way after the service. It's an opportunity to ask questions about Unitarian Universalism, our fellowship, and our religious community. You can grab coffee or tea in the social hall and head on over there and join Reverend Israel and a member of our membership committee for an informal conversation. You are welcome here. And I always like to say that more details about these can be found in our weekly flash. If you're not on our email list, please make sure to sign up so you can be kept apprised. And you can also go to our website for additional information and details. We'll now have our chalice lighting. Is Robin here? Robin's not here. So Reverend Israel will light our chalice while I read the opening words. We light a flaming chalice to begin worship. It's a tradition shared by Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world. One candle, an absurdly modest response to the size of the world's problems. We do it anyway. Not because a candle fixes anything, because lighting it is a declaration that we are still here, that we still believe gathered people paying real attention to each other and at what's at stake can do something worth doing. The something we're after is specific. Children who don't go hungry. Families who aren't torn apart at the border or pulled from their cars. Queer kids who get to grow up into their truth. A planet that's still livable. Neighbors who know each other's names. The ancient idea that everyone's life has worth and nobody is disposable. That's what this flame is for. We light it for everyone in this room, for what you carried in today, for what you came hoping to find, for the stubborn, irrational something that got you out of bed and into this room on a Sunday in April 2026. May it be enough to begin. Please join us in our opening hymn for the Earth Forever Turning, which is number 163, and the words will be on the screen.
We sing to our home returning because today I want us all to think about something that happens to astronauts. We had a group of astronauts go the furthest that humans have ever gone from the Earth. And when humans go far enough from the Earth and they look back, something shifts in them. Something has been recorded to happen to almost each and every one of them that has done this. When they look back at Earth, it happens reliably. The borders that we spend so much money and blood defending become invisible. Because from out there they are. You see one blue thing in the window, in the black, smaller than your thumb. And the only rational response to that, to seeing that, is this. We have to protect this in all of the people and things and beings on it. The divisions that feel insurmountable down here at this altitude feel like what they actually are, just imaginary lines that someone drew on a map. This phenomenon is so common that it has a name. It's called the overview effect. And on Easter Sunday, Victor Glover, one of the astronauts in Artemis II, was 250,000 miles away from Earth, farther than any human has been. And he looked back and he said this, I can really see Earth as one thing. We are the same thing. We've got to get through this together. Look around the room. A few weeks ago, we were all facing forward, seeing the back of each other's heads. The room was arranged maybe a little bit more like a lecture or theater. And then last week we had a different configuration, and now we have something that feels a little different too. We keep changing it. You can see each other now, faces, the full room, so to speak. You are not an audience today, you are a community gathered, a community in the round. That is the overview effect from 11 feet. I think that's about right. Maybe I'm wrong. The theological reason for the seating is not the same, and this isn't just a lecture about seating arrangements, because this isn't even exactly how I wanted it to be this morning. But that's okay. Life happens. The practical reason, the person up here is not above you. The chalice is in the center. The candles, where we will share our joys and concerns with each other, are in the center. What's sacred is in front of us, between us, amongst us. And the communal reason, we can see each other. We can see if someone is struggling. We can see perhaps if someone is alone. We can see each other. And that matters more than we usually let ourselves say out loud. The overview effect doesn't require all of us to go up into space. That sounds a little expensive. It just requires being able to see what is right here on the ground with some perspective. So let's take some time now to see each other a little more clearly, a little more deeply. We have a tradition here in this fellowship to take a few minutes, some time during the service every week to name what we are actually carrying. Not the version that we bring to work or the grocery store, but the real thing. You can use this time to think about that thing for yourself, or you can have it witnessed by the community. We call this moments of the heart, because it's one of the things I think that makes Unitarian Universalism unusual or different. We practice being honest about our lives in front of each other, not as performance, but just to remind ourselves that isolation is what makes things hard and unbearable, and that witness things, change them a little bit. Doesn't fix them, but makes us feel less alone. So here's how it works. If you've never been here before, if you have a card and there's something on your heart today that you want witnessed in community, you can write it down. A joy, a grief, something you're experiencing, even a word or a drawing. And I'll read everything that comes forward, but if you'd like it kept private, you can just mark it on the card and I'll hold it without reading it. Everyone is welcome to light a candle too. Anyone can light a candle to be seen here. So during the music, you're welcome to come bring those up, and our pastoral care associate will receive them so you know that you are held and received into this community too. Sue, our pastoral care associate, is right here in the center with the basket. Take a breath with me as we hold the stuff of life and hope and longing that we carry here in this room this morning. Card for Angela Albano, recovering from broken ribs. For my son who could use a break. Prayers for my husband going for 2 days of tests for a valve implant on April 20th. Praying for those who are in poor health or have a family or friend with health issues. May they have hope and find help and peace in their communities. We have a card here for just gratitude and grieving. A card for the team trying to negotiate a peace so that the war will end. Someone here just says, the ennui that I experience every day is deepening. Thankful for the arts, which remind me that humanity still has goodness to share. This just says, pray for a friend. Pray for a friend. It says, this question keeps going through my head. Why? Why? It's going through mine too. Thanks for my friends for checking in on me. Thank you to all those friends. Someone wrote, breathe in peace, breathe out love. We are all one. Yes. We mourn for the loss last week of our son-in-law, Justin, and grieve for the pain of our daughter, Amanda. We are thankful and heartened for her resilience, which we know has been strengthened by the love and support of her and our family and friends, and in particular this community. And this is from Debbie and Brian Cohen. Please hold Nancy, my mother-in-law, this one says, in the light. May her passing be peaceful. There's one I don't want to forget here that I was here. Sorry. I had a card for a protester in here, and now I don't know where it went. And then my last one here that I'm holding just says, my children. All our children. Let's take a breath now together and just let this settle what we carry in this room today. And remember that what we carry together. Let's take a moment now in silence just to hold that. Not perfect silence, the silence of life. May we remember life always calling us on, and now let us sing that together. Spirit of Life, number 123. A few weeks ago, right around the time that the bombs started falling in Iran, I was at a thrift store. That's where I do my best theological research. And a very special find, you'll see, is inhabiting the pulpit today. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I was doing something that I often do at thrift stores, which is where I'm technically supposed to be looking for something that I need, but I'm actually just processing my emotions by holding other people's discarded objects and imagining the stories that they hold. It's a top-notch spiritual practice, really. I recommend it. But I found a framed piece of calligraphy. And it's in a nice lovely heavy frame with a good mat. And done by a really skilled hand, I have to say. And it's a quote from a book from 1973, so the language is a little 1973. So you'll just have to forgive me when I read it out loud. But it's a quote from an author, a British mathematician and humanist named Jacob Bronkowski, who in 1973 created a landmark. I didn't know any of this before finding this, by the way, so this was all the result of me finding this. A landmark documentary series about the history of human civilization. And I kid you not, the name of this documentary is called The Ascent of Man. So I'm going to put this back up here before I read it to you. Before I read it, I just want to say sometimes you find just the right thing at the right time, and I'm not saying that anything caused that, but here we go. I'm going to read it to you. It says, "We are all afraid for our confidence for the world. That is the nature of the human imagination. Yet every man, and I'll just say every person, every civilization, has come forward because of its engagement with what it has set out to do. The personal commitment of a person to their skill, the intellectual commitment, and the emotional commitment. Walking, traveling, living, moving together as one has made the ascent of humanity, of man. Sometimes we find the right broken fragments of light exactly when we need to find them." And then I got home and I read the news, and it contextualized the quote a little bit more for me. So in this spirit, I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on what our civilization has set out to do this week and how it is going. The Secretary of Defense has been purging generals, not for incompetence or not being good leaders, but rather for insufficient enthusiasm about the Pentagon prayer meetings. Apparently, there is now a specific Jesus whose blessing is required before the missiles get names. Wrong Jesus and wrong command. The first American Pope will not come to the United States of America. Leo, born in Chicago, the first American ever to become Pope, he looked at this administration specifically after a meeting where Pentagon officials allegedly invoked the Avignon papacy as a model. And if you don't know what that is, it is a medieval period where kings with armies controlled the church with swords. The Pope had this experience, looked at this and said, "I know, United States of America, what you are capable of, and I am not going to come home. I'm going to spend my July 4th with refugees." The first American Pope has made himself a refugee from his own birth country. I understand why the moral leader of 1.5 billion people around the world is not coming home. On Tuesday morning, the president announced publicly that a whole civilization would die that night. I'm sure you heard about it. Those were his words. I sat at my desk, writing my work emails, doing normal things, and I used the phrase circling back that I'm not proud of, but I couldn't figure out how to opt out of this civilization on a Tuesday, so I kept typing. And then 48 minutes before his own deadline, he announced a ceasefire. So the stock market went back up. Every civilization has come forward because of its engagement with what it has set out to do. The ascent of man. I found this at a thrift store for $4.99. Now, the other thing I did this week, has anyone go to an Easter egg hunt last Sunday? Or a springtime hunt, let's say? I went to an Easter egg hunt after I was here last Sunday at a nature preserve. Now I'm not going to tell you which one. When I heard that this particular nature preserve, which is one of my favorites, was doing an Easter egg hunt, I had a vision of what it would be like because I know this place and the way it is normally. Hand-painted wooden eggs with seed bomb packets inside. The childhood and the village life that I thought we were all owed. The sanctuary for weirdo creative kids like myself, I say that because it's kids who just want to stare at caterpillars and be weird in the woods without anyone scheduling it. Unfortunately, what was actually there, what I found was roped off dusty parking fields, overpriced, reheated Costco food in homegrown costume, and neon wristbands, like the kind you get in a nightclub, in 3 different colors for 3 different age groups. Different colors because siblings in different age categories could not be admitted to the same egg hunt pen simultaneously, as this would have been unfair, I was told. There was a reservation system at this Easter egg hunt, I kid you not, for the Easter egg hunt, a reservation system. My daughter arrived 2 minutes late to her reservation. 2 minutes late. And she was told that she could not enter even though her kindergarten best friend was already in there. Fortunately, the maitre d' was able to bump us up to a later showing. Now the eggs, and this is not a criticism of anyone who participates in an Easter egg hunt, by the way. This is just my Sunday. The eggs were dollar store plastic, neon colors that don't exist in nature because nature had the good sense not to go there. When the whistle blew, there was a whistle. When the whistle blew, the children are off scooping their eggs like that old game show I can't think of the name of where people grab cash in a wind machine. While the parents, bless their hearts, trying their best, scream tactical instructions to their kids from the sidelines. We've been there, perhaps. Maybe that's why you're laughing. Inside some eggs, candy. Pretty good candy. Red dye number 40, not great for neurodivergent minds, but that's another sermon. Inside some eggs, nothing. A cruel life lesson, I thought, but realistic, at least for today. But inside only an elite small number of eggs, a foam Easter bunny. The foam bunny was the prize, sort of, scarce by design, because only foam bunny finders would get to access the prize table. When the dust settled, some kids screamed with joy. Most looked deflated, and a few actually cried. I have to tell you that my daughter was one of the lucky ones. And I want to tell you it's because she has fantastic egg-dar, because we taught her so well. And that the merit of finding a foam bunny was to come to her. She deserved it. But to be honest, it was nepotism. You see, the dad of the friend that we came with had slipped me a spare bunny before the hunt. I'm guilty. His daughter had found 2, and the parents determined that she didn't need both. He pressed one into my hand quietly. I slipped it into the egg while I was, quote, helping my daughter sort through her finds. I love my daughter, and I wanted her to feel like a winner, and she got to feel like a winner. But it wasn't me or merit that saved the day. It was kindness that saved the day for her, someone choosing to opt out of the system. The prize, by the way, if anyone is wondering, if anyone maybe went to this egg hunt, no, maybe you know exactly what it is, but the prize was a jumbo basket of cellophane-wrapped dollar store toys, things that began breaking I kid you not, no more than 5 minutes after the basket was opened. I stood in that field a week ago on Easter Sunday, a couple of hours after standing right here, talking about how we are all trying to cross to something worth reaching, something that is better than this crap that we have right now. And I thought to myself, in my favorite nature preserve, is this the best that we can do? Is this the shining city on the hill? The reservation system, the wristbands, the siblings separated by category, the manufactured scarcity, the kids who cried, the prize that broke in 5 minutes, and the friend who had two and quietly gave one away. In many ways, that is the whole story of America right there in a nature preserve on Easter. Making Easter great again, and Jesus too, I guess. When I got home, it wasn't until I got home, by the way, that I learned about there's no good in it. We know that sitting in this room, that there is good here. Not because we are on a ship, not because America has no good in it. No, it's because of this. It's because we are on a ship whose architects only ever built enough lifeboats for first class. Some of us get life vests and whistles if we can figure out how to work them in the ice-cold water. And the captain is currently being distracted on the bridge by whatever, while his handlers field polite questions from the balance of powers that are knocking politely and waiting in the hallway. We have not hit an iceberg yet, my friends. But the current regime also did not design the vessel that we are traveling on. The current regime that we have here is just the sonar, so to speak. It's the thing that finally shows us what has been in the water the whole time. The foam bunny shortage was always by design. The wristbands separating siblings were always part of the system. The prize was always going to break in 5 minutes. What we have set out to do versus what we thought we were doing maybe is the thing. That's the question that the egg hunt answers for me. That's the question that the president answered this week for the world when he threatened to annihilate an entire civilization, and yet the market still went up after that because he sort of didn't. He didn't create the answer, the lie. He just stopped helping us be able to hide it. The myth fell publicly, finally. And I have to tell you, oddly grateful at least for that. Not for the war, of course not. Not for the loss of life, not for the generals fired for insufficient Jesus, not for the Tuesday I couldn't opt out of because the world was about to do what this is, but grateful. Grateful for the clarity at last. Because you cannot build anything real, anything true, anything sustainable on a lie. The myth fell, and now we know the actual ground, the waters. Here's the thing. For the people still inhabiting the ground, for the people still trying to swim in this water, ice-cold water, are you tired? What did one of my cards say? Ennui. I think we had the word ennui in one of these cards today. Are you tired? But not just of fighting specifically for the issue that you have identified in the moment. The low-grade kind of exhaustion that comes from caring about things that keep going badly and worse. of having enough conscience to feel it, but not enough sense of power to fix it. I like to think of this, and maybe this is going to tell you when I grew up and what I was exposed to at the time, but I like to think of this as being the violinist on the deck of the Titanic, playing Nearer, My God, to Thee, as the ship goes down. It's also one of my metaphors for being a minister sometime, because I know that feeling, because I feel that I am frequently the violinist. And no, I'm not about to break into a Fiddler on the Roof routine, even though I really want to. I asked our archivist, by the way. She couldn't find the sheet music to tradition. So it looks like we're going to have to write a new one now. The violinist is not up there on the roof or the deck of the Titanic playing because it stops the ship from sinking. The ship is still doing what the ship is doing. The music does not slow the ship down. The violinist is playing because that is who a violinist is. Someone who makes music, who makes noise. Because stopping would mean becoming something else. Because the music is the last true thing, and the violinist refuses to let that last thing be silence. I'm not advocating for martyrdom of any kind. I'm advocating for integrity, the shape of a self that won't collapse under pressure and collapse into something that we cannot recognize. And that integrity, once you have seen it, once you have practiced it in community, is contagious. That's the important part. I have at home right now, in a cabinet in my living room, tomato seedlings that I started way too early. I am an impatient gardener. I started them when ICE was storming Minneapolis. There was something to that I think I needed. I put them in some dirt, not outside, I'm not that reckless. I put them in some dirt inside under lights. The frost hadn't passed. My charts told me it was too early. I did it anyway because somewhere underneath the impatience is something I can almost smell but can't fully name. The belief that someone will eat that fruit. Maybe me, maybe not me, but someone. My seedlings right now, if you're wondering, are pretty bruised. They look rough. But a gardener knows that what maybe looks like damage to seedlings is actually them becoming something strong enough to survive. A gardener might know it is hardening off. Even if I knew the world would end tomorrow, I would plant my tomato plants, my apple tree today. But here's the thing. Let's go back to the egg hunt. Let me tell you one more time what that egg hunt actually was about. Not a metaphor, but the actual system, the one that has been running ever since the very first boats arrived here. And said that you do this. You manufacture scarcity. You make people compete for what should be common and shared. You let a few win, and you make sure that they know that they won because they deserved it, because merit, because God bless America, while you keep the rest striving and blaming each other for their empty baskets. You dress it up in whatever costume the era requires, whether they be pilgrim hats, plantation ledgers, company script, red lines on a map, or neon wristbands at a nature preserve. And then, the master stroke. You convince them, us, that they are the richest, freest people in the history of the world because of it. So free that they should be grateful for this privilege. So free that they will fight each other furiously for the right to remain it. Land of the free, home of the brave enough to endure it. This country was founded on a question. When we're thinking about this shining city on a hill, the thing that was talked about in our history, this country was founded on a question: whose labor builds that city and who gets to live safely within its walls? The answer, chosen by the way, was that some people are the builders and some are the built for. And the entire architecture since then has been about maintaining that answer while finding new language for every generation. A system that treats fetuses as idols and the children they become as labor and as pawns. The foam bunny shortage every time, by design. In many ways, and it feels wrong to say this, but slavery never really ended. It transformed into sharecropping, into convict leasing, into redlining, into the gig economy, where you own nothing, owe everything, but are still get to see yourself as an entrepreneur. And it transformed, yes, even into the egg hunt, where the kids who cried were always going to be told that they just didn't try hard enough. So let's declare today that the myth fell, and that is a good thing. Now we can see what was always underneath it. And also, really importantly, this. And I think the reason that we're in this room today together, this particular room, the myth fell, yeah, you might have known that. Because people, not everyone has always fully believed it. That's the thing. There has always been an alternative version of the country running alongside the official one. The truer one, the one that keeps resurfacing wherever and whenever the official one becomes unbearable. The friend who had to and gave one away under the table against the system, in spite of the system, before the whistle blew. The Underground Railroad conductors who put their bodies between the system and the people it was grinding up. The labor organizers who said, we know what you're doing. There is actually enough. We are done fighting each other for your foam bunnies. Teenagers in Chicago who found each other in a park because the pull toward each other was stronger than the training to distrust. And the first American-born pope who will spend July 4th, our Independence Day, welcoming refugees on the shores of the Mediterranean instead of bowing to Pharaoh on the banks of the Potomac. The seedlings, too, in my living room, reaching for light in the ice-cold spring because something in them cannot. The earth tells us the story, too. And of course, this very room, you. Not we the people as parchment. We the people alive, wielding the pen and the megaphone. Authoritarianism only has one move. It's the same move the founding had. Make the scarcity feel natural. Make you believe that you're alone, that you're only facing the backs of each other's heads. Make you desperate enough to shove the kid beside you for one of those foam bunnies. But a room full of people who know each other's names, who can see each other's faces, who notice when someone is gone, who keep showing up when they could have stayed home. That is not sentimental. That is counter power. That is the specific thing. This is the specific thing that the machine was not built to metabolize and can never. Every time that you stay in relationship with people who actually see you and see the truth, you are like I wish that Rose had done, you are duct taping doors into a lifeboat. My seedlings look terrible right now. The cold has bruised them, and they are still reaching for the light inside, and they know it's almost time to go outside. And I'm here because I have something I cannot fully explain. Something that when I stood in that field watching kids cry over empty baskets and still found the one true thing in it, the friend who had two and gave one away, even while the tactical instructions were being shouted at and the false security was being reinforced from the sidelines. Or maybe it's just something that Victor Glover saw 100,000 miles above the earth, looking back at this blue thing in the black. Actually, that's the sun. That's an eclipse. At this blue thing in the black and saying, I can really see it as one thing. We are the same thing. We've got to get through this together. The president threatened to annihilate a civilization this week. A human being in space saw us as one. Same week, same species. Don't forget that. I don't have a neat way to describe the force that keeps making me tender, that keeps making tender things reach for the light anyway. I don't know neatly how to describe that force, but I know this much. It will not let me believe that scarcity is sacred. It will not let me call cruelty the natural order of things. It will not let me stop planting and hoping and dreaming. The myth fell. The friend who had two and gave one away is real. The seedlings are reaching. The room, you are still here. The personal commitment, the intellectual commitment, the emotional commitment, together, taking us where we need to go. I found those words at a thrift store for $4.99 in the middle of a war, and they were still true. So when you go from here today, go across the hall and eat with someone and pass one of those good things that you found along and make this sermon true, because I can't do it by myself. Let's sing. Enough with my words. Let's sing.
We'll receive today's offering now. If you can give today, we thank you. If you can't, just let the basket pass. Belonging here isn't something you pay for, you're already in. Half of what's given here each week, supporting the music, the programs, the staff, the building, the rooms that keep open week after week. The other half goes to AIR. This month, the Asian American Institute for Research and Engagement. I have the information.
Copy and paste gets you in trouble.
Hold on one second.
It's book fairies.
Yes,
I have it. Yeah, Book fairies takes books and it redistributes them to people, to kids who need books. It's given a lot of books away to schools locally and in Queens and New York City too. So that's who they are.
Half of this month's collection will go to book fairies. You can give in the basket. You can give electronically online through Realm. You can scan the QR code, or you can text UUFH to 73256. The default when you do so is Sunday split plate, but the drop-down menu lets you direct it where you wish. Thank you.
I'm about to extinguish our chalice before I walk out of the room. I can extinguish this flame, but to rethink the thing that we like to say in UU spaces often, but maybe you've never heard this before, and this is the first version of it you'll hear today, of this one. I extinguish this flame, but not the light of what we named here today, not the warmth of the room that keeps showing up, and certainly not, the stubborn hope of a people who are still becoming who they need to become. Those we carry until we are here together again, and we also carry out there. Share it and take it out with you into the world. It's contagious, my friends.